Good. This will be a high energy afternoon. Yeah, that's good. We scheduled this late in the afternoon on a Tuesday when nobody slept. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Gifted Kid, Messy Adult, a neurodiversity podcast, the show where potential went to die. I'm one of your hosts, Ellie Michaels. I use she, her,
I am your other host, Jessica Michaels. I use she, they.
and today is a very special hyperfixation episode with a very special guest. Jess, will you introduce our very special guest?
Yes, today we are thrilled to have our friend Carole Jean Whittington, who is the host of the Beyond Chronic Burnout podcast. So, welcome, Carole Jean.
Thanks for having me, Jess and Ellie. I always love sharing a conversation with y'all. And Jess, when you said, "Hey, do you want to talk about hyperfixation?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm so down for that." Speaking my language.
Oh, we love it. Any chance to nerd out, share some dopamine, we love to hear it. But first, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about you and what you do?
I'm Carole Jean Whittington. I'm a cute hot mess in a designer handbag
That's perfect for this show. Perfect.
of late identified ADHD. And I spent almost 40 years in some degree of burnout starting at the age of 6. And I have been burnout free since November of 2019. And I am now in a place I didn't even know was possible. And it's freaking amazing. And I try
You
and
do
share
have,
it with everybody.
I must say, you do have a very Zen-like quality about you compared to when we met, I think. So, I think I
I
could
love that.
definitely
I love we've
see
known each other long enough to have like been part of the whole cycle.
there's definitely some progress. Like before, I don't think I could have listened to one of your episodes on 1.5 speed, which is how I listen to everything else. But now I think I could. I think I could. So, Carole Jean, what is your hyperfixation? What are you diving into these days that is just taking all of your attention?
Self-discovery.
Tell us about it.
It's just like in late identified life, one of the biggest questions and conversations that I've had in the last 4 years in my research into autistic burnout is women saying to me, "I don't know who I am. I have no idea who I am. I don't know that I've ever known." Because we started masking so early, because from the moment somebody said, "You're weird. Why are you doing it that way? It can't possibly hurt you that bad. Nobody else is bothered by it. Nobody else's feelings were hurt. Why are you getting so upset? Why are you freaking out? Why are you like, why are you overthinking everything? It's just so simple. Just like do the thing. Don't think about it. Don't overcomplicate stuff." And so we're like, oh, okay, so I'm doing it wrong. The way I feel and experience things is not right, or nobody else has experienced it, so maybe I'm wrong. So then, not only do we not feel safe feeling, thinking, and experiencing all the things that we are internally, we then stop trusting ourselves and we start masking and we start collecting masks. We don't just use one or two. Oh no, we use 10, 20, 30. And the longer we've lived, the more we've accumulated. And so, what I discovered for myself is number one, holy crap, I've been masking. Like, not just masking, like normal people would say, "Oh, well, you mask to show up to work and be in this professional mode, right?" No, 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 no. I masked to the professional level of camouflaging.
Mhm.
I disappeared. You didn't see me, and I didn't even see myself. So to dive in and really be in this place because I finally have the dang energy to be here is self-discovery. Really getting to know me, peeling off really old layers of masks that I've had a long time. It's easy to peel off, the first couple of layers because they're pretty obvious. And then you do a little work and you peel off some deeper ones. And then after almost 5 years, I'm in this place where I'm like, all right, we're going deep, girls. Here we go. Strap in. We're going for a ride.
Uh, I love that, like the stuff that people try to relate, they're like, "Oh no, I know exactly what you're going through because I don't like to meet new people and I'm uncomfortable with small talk." It's like, you're not autistic, you're a dude in an Uber. Like, this is not the same thing that we deal with, you know? So I love that, and I love the idea that you put on multiple masks because I think you're exactly right. And it does start the first time somebody tells you no, or says you're doing, or your feelings are wrong. Like the one thing that you're supposed to be able to intrinsically be right about. Like there's nobody can tell you how you feel, but they do all the time. And it starts that second because you're like, well, I don't know. Clearly I'm wrong. I don't know how to be right. So I'm going to act like all these other people that are doing it right and just hope that you get the answer. That's I think that I mean I as soon as you said women say they don't know who they are, that resonated with me because I've been masking for so long. I genuinely have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's under here. And when you layer being gifted on top of that, and you have so many people forcing identities on you, like, oh, you could be president, or oh, you are just the you never make any mistakes, or oh, you always get the right answer the first time, and so you have people project, and it's like, well, if I don't know who I am, well, then I must be one of those things, but none of those fit, so it's no wonder that we all end up depressed and and just totally burnt out. So, how did you get into self-discovery? Was this like was it therapy? Was it a book you read? How did you get started on this whole journey?
Because I was the late identified autistic person who had burnt out so dang hard that she was ready to hit the permanent escape button. And I had that sort of dark night of the soul, and there was this little tiny glimmer of light that said, you're not meant for this. There's more. And it gave me just enough hope to keep going. And I said, okay, this sucks. I'm tired of feeling miserable. This cannot be what life is meant to be. And so I started this process of just wanting to feel better. And through that, over a decade ago, when I started, it was just wanting to feel better. And I got to this place where I finally had energy, consistent energy, which I'd never had in my whole life. I didn't even know that existed, right?
That's a
I just
thing.
wanted life. Yeah, it's a total thing. I just wanted it to not suck every day, all day long. So that was like my goal. I would set the bar real high, y'all, real high. Like, I just don't want it to suck so bad. And all of a sudden, one day, I realized, wow, I actually feel good. And I've felt good for a little bit now, like consistently. And I have energy and I have like this drive and desire I've never had. It wasn't external, it was internal. And it felt good. And I felt curious and I felt excited and I felt joyful about myself and about the world for the first time. And from there, I just said, well, I don't know who I am, but I want to get to know me. Like I'm in this place where I'm starting to like myself. I did not love myself yet. I like myself a little bit. I got beyond that. I'm just going to tolerate you and I can't really stand you, but we're going to just hold space for a second because that's where it started. But I got to this place where I was like, I really care about myself enough that I want to know me. And I'm not scared of really getting to know me anymore. And I look back and I think, well, why didn't I know me? And as I started to really process that, and I've shared this with a lot of autistic women, and I've heard similar relatable things back, and I was like, I never allowed myself space to even discover who I was, because that meant I was going to trial and error stuff, and I might make a mistake, and it might be bad, and I might not be safe, and I might get hurt, and other people might be mean to me because people were already mean to me. Grown-ups were mean to me. It's like, oh, you're just, you have an IQ of 138. You're a genius. You're hyperlexic, but we're not catching that you're also dyslexic. And you're hyperverbal and you express yourself so well and you're just so mature. You're like a 30-year-old in a 10-year-old body, right? Oh, and so that's who you begin to think you are. And because you've already started masking from at least age 4 for most of us, there was never space. There was never room for me to discover who I was. And there certainly no one ever stopped and said to me, hey, you need to get to know you, honey. Right? You need to ask yourself, what do you like? Oh my gosh, foreign question, concept, what do I like? Are you kidding me? I've never asked myself that. I ask, what does everybody else like? And am I going to like that one? Because that was safer. I didn't even ask myself, what would my perfect day feel like? Who would I be with? Where would I be? What would I do? What do I want to feel and experience? I mean, these are some big questions, but I had no answers to these when I started. And I wanted to know the answer because I genuinely got to a place where I loved me and I wanted to get to know me. And this journey of self-discovery has just been amazing. And I've got a new book coming out in May, Finding Her Autistic Self, a guide to self-discovery to go on a journey with other women, with other autistics who want to discover themselves too. And I'm super fixated on it right now.
I mean, talk about a dopamine hit. Jeez, I mean, I think that sounds like the ultimate dopamine hit because it's not only the activity, but there's purpose behind it and you're just finding out cool stuff and there's nothing more that we like than finding out new stuff. So, and you're right about it because it's you. So you get to be right all the time too, and that's pretty sweet. So,
Sparkly freaking whiz pops, baby.
so Ellie, what do you think?
Um, well, as someone who didn't figure out that they were trans until they were 34, I do not in the slightest identify with and I can't even finish the sentence.
I love you, Ellie.
Yeah, no.
I figured you wouldn't
Whole
relate
lot of
to a
other
damn
stuff.
thing I had to say.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here quietly. It's fine. I gotta fidget on my phone. No, that all sounds really, really wonderful. And I'm pretty jealous, to be entirely honest.
Yeah.
Just sitting here, I was like, what does my perfect day look like? I should figure that out.
And so to get to, because there is a part of me that is like, this sounds a little frou-frou, like a little out there. You know what I mean? Like, I like
I
logistics,
know.
I like steps, I like an action plan. So, how do you, like, what is the literal first step in this process that you took?
I love that you asked me that question because the autistic part of my brain, I got that because I need that too. Give me the map. Tell
Yes.
me what to do first and what to do next and how to do each step along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that. It started with a breath. And I know that sounds really stupid and so super simple, but I'm going to ask you this question. How often do you catch yourself holding your breath during the day where all of a sudden you're like, when do you take a full breath and really expand? your diaphragm, your rib cage. You just inhale all the way. Not often, I will guarantee you. And if you haven't ever paid attention to that, you're now noticing. It honestly started with just giving myself permission to breathe because I was holding my breath a lot. And it was the place that I started to take control over because everything else in my life felt out of control. And our breath is the one place that is both automatic and controlled. And I started to just control how I breathed. And I started to breathe with intention. And it's amazing what it actually did inside my nervous system and inside my thoughts when I just started to take a full breath, even if it was just one time. There was this place that I felt like I was planting my flag, like I was reclaiming my physical body and my personal power because I've really felt powerless and out of control. I felt like there was no ground under my feet. I was constantly in chaotic limbo, moving from place to place without any security. And if that feels a little too woo, you're like, oh God, Carole Jean, that is not what I asked you. I know you just.
I had a follow-up question, I will admit.
That was what you asked.
It starts with the 52 questions that I use to get to know you.
And those
It's
are
a
ones that
journey
you
of
wrote?
self-discovery. They are ones that I got, and then there are ones that I've adapted along the way. So I'm sharing a sort of a collaboration with another person who's way smarter than me ahead of me on the journey.
So I was going to
But
ask,
it
because since you are writing the book on this, there were resources then that you were following, or was this just from the gut, kind of, developing your own process?
this is me going out and desperately seeking anything I could find because a decade ago there was diddly squat.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like one person saying, okay, if you're an autistic burnout, by the way, this is what it is. It's not, it's not the neurodominant. This is like you've been driving your car for decades with the check engine light on. And then when the car finally dies, bless your heart, you hopped out and started pushing the dang thing. That's autistic burnout. And in that process, in those early days, I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know I was in burnout. I just thought I sucked at adulting. I just wasn't smart enough to figure it all out, right? And then you've got all that stuff coming in from your childhood going, but you're so smart. You should be able to figure all this stuff out. And so I thought I was supposed to figure it all out by myself.
Yeah.
By myself because it was number one, you didn't ask for help. You're too smart for that, right? Nobody needs to help you. You're so smart. You got this. You figured this out. You're so good at so many things. They just come easy to you.
Were you an oldest child?
Oh, you know it.
I was gonna say, because there's definitely some oldest child in here because that's what's great about you is you're self-sufficient because then when there are kids after you, you're the one who doesn't need to be worried about because there's a lot of other stuff happening and you're fine. And then not only are you fine, then you get to help out. You get to be even better than totally hidden. You get to be contributing. But part of that depends on you not being a problem. If you're a problem, then, so you have to be a problem solver. And, I don't know if you ever had this experience, but anytime I did need to reach out, like to my dad or something, if I had a question, the trauma that I went through, desperately trying to figure out how do I solve this on my own before I have to ask a question. Because you know that you ask the question and you'll get ridiculed if it's a dumb question. You're a question that you should be smart enough to figure out. Like, those things are just like, burned in my mind. So yes, yeah, I think the oldest children probably are just right for this type of burnout just by virtue of birth order.
It is. And what I discovered using that original set of 52 questions of self-discovery was that it was just the beginning. Because then I repeated those questions over and over again.
You're autistic, you say? I I'm
Yeah.
shocked. I never would have guessed. Okay. So you've got the 52 questions. You did them once. You did them again. You
Mhm.
did them
Did
again.
them a
Okay.
third
I'm
time.
starting to see this
Because
process.
over time, as I got more comfortable, as I felt more safe to really authentically, vulnerably, bravely, and courageously answer some of those questions with how I truly felt and not how I thought I was supposed to be feeling. And the masks started to release because I was an integrator. So I have a masking quiz that helps you identify your masking styles. And you can be the script reader, you can be the chameleon, you can be the performer, you can be the observer, but you can also be the integrator. And that's usually the one who's the most burned out, by the way. And you use multiple of these masks and not just like, okay, in this situation, I'm the performer, in this one, I'm the script reader. Oh no, you can cycle through these suckers within seconds in the same engagement. And that's exhausting. But as you start to get comfortable and you start to get compassionately, you and I both say this, compassionately curious about yourself because you genuinely are just sick and tired of being miserable and not knowing who you are. And you feel like, damn it, I have a right to know who I am. And so you go through the questions, you journal them out, and you get to the end and you're like, okay, I feel like there's more here now. You do it again. And when you do, you notice you're adding a little more, you're getting a little more authentic. You feel like what you're saying is more your voice than the voices of everyone that's ever been in your world.
Oh,
I'm struck by how similar this process is to Mahayana meditation, Buddhist practice that I follow, where you sit and you pay attention to your breath, and that's like the whole foundation. And your attention wanders, and you go back to the breath, and you feel something weird on your leg, and you go back to the breath. And it sounds super boring, and it kind of is, but it's also making a safe holding environment for then the rest of the stuff you haven't been letting yourself think about or feel to show up. And it's kind of like opening your office door and seeing a line of 100 people who've just been waiting to see you. And you're like, oh, okay. And then as you unpack that and meet all of those people and see all of these needs, you're like, oh, okay. You start to see the patterns and you start to understand who you are in that context. And I think that's it's really beautiful.
Mm. And it's simple. And I think that's what really throws us is because it's gifted kids, in the messy adult part, we have gotten to this place of chronic and constant complexity because we're afraid we're going to miss something. So we're thinking of all the thoughts. We are doing the thought gymnastics to make sure all the things are there because number one, we don't have internal emotional safety. And number two, we no longer have self-trust, right? And then we say, oh, well, I don't feel like I belong to anybody else, but I sure as hell don't feel like I belong to me. And authentic? What are you talking about? I've masked for so long, I don't even know what authentic is. I have never even understood what that meant. And it's not just with other people. I'm not even authentic with myself when I'm home alone because I don't even feel safe to do that.
hmm.
And the
So
simplicity of breath is just so radical.
Mhm.
my ADHD is just got, I've got like 1,000 questions. I just want to dive in anytime you look like you might even be thinking of breathing. I'm like, I've got so many things to ask. So, one of the things that I know that I've talked to, coming from, working in adult education and then working in coaching, there's always this trouble with how do you take what you do in whatever activity you're doing, how does that transfer out of the activity? Because I know people who can do a nice deep meditation and then come out and scream, at the person who's crossing their lawn, Like, how do you take all this great stuff that you're learning in this process and actually make it so that it matters outside of that?
It is a very slow integration. You're going to be situational for a while because you're protecting yourself, and that's natural and that's okay. It is a shifting from this place of doing. We do ourselves to death. Our to-do list is killing us. And it slowly through the process of you giving yourself permission, of you claiming and reclaiming your personal power, your choice, your autonomy. It becomes this place of being. And that is very different than being in a chronic state of doing.
What is the thing that you have discovered about yourself that has surprised you the most?
That I'm fun.
You are the only one surprised by that. Just gotta say.
Yes,
Okay.
like the number one way I would describe you.
Really? Oh my
Yes.
gosh. See, that is so funny. I love it.
You're a blast. You're like, I mean, we had a virtual movie night a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Oh
like,
yeah.
and
Oh, that
there
was
are very
awesome.
few people that
It
could
was
make
Hocus
that
Pocus.
experience cool, and fun. And it was legitimately fun. It was Ellie's first like
It was.
girls' night. It was very special. Um, yeah, that's so interesting. I wonder how many people who end up going through this journey end up finding things out about themselves that other people have seen or would say, or is it more that they find out things that are would be surprising to to other people, because you'd think those characteristics are inherently there somewhere, so they might be expressing themselves. But if you're so disconnected from yourself, how would you even know? How would you even notice what is happening there? And how would you separate out, oh, here's what's really me versus the mask? Because you, as you said, it's almost together. You don't know. So I could definitely see finding out things that seem quote unquote obvious, but you just haven't been able to have that perspective before. You've never been able to feel that before. You had to peel all that away first. I can definitely see how this will quickly become a hyperfixation for
Oh,
sure.
totally. Yeah. And the beautiful part about it, and it's been, oh my gosh, the more I've just allowed space for me, like I take up some space now, and I'm proud of that. I take up a good bit of space, and I feel really good about the space I take up because I made myself so small for so long. And as I get more comfortable in the space that I'm now taking up, and that's mine, I didn't have to ask permission for it. I just had to claim it and had to fill it. And when I started to do that, there's this beautiful place that myself, because we have this self that's part of us, that's has calm, that has clarity, that has compassion, that has curiosity. We have these beautiful natural parts of who we are as ourself. They just show up and surprise me and gift me in the most beautiful ways. And sometimes it is hella hard because it's something maybe that I didn't want to face or I was scared to look at about myself. But I trust myself now in a way that even if it's something really hard, even if it's something that scares the socks off of me, I'm willing to look at it because I know that it's the gift of getting to have this beautiful, intimate, deep relationship with myself for the first time. And I'm all for it, even for the scary parts.
Again, not relatable in the slightest. Well, that reminds me, I have to schedule more electrolysis.
Can I get one of those too? Hair on my chinny chin chin.
Uh,
Perimenopause is
start with laser.
mean.
Start with
Oh,
laser. It's fine.
perimenopause. We're gonna have to do an episode on perimenopause because that is just
Hmm.
not nice.
Well,
It
I
is not
got you.
nice. Or just hormones in general, because I have learned more about hormones in this past year than any time in my life, and those are powerful little buggers. Um,
They are. Ellie's taught me more about hormones than anybody.
right? Yeah,
It's because they
Seriously.
left me menopausal for 9 months. It was the worst.
yeah.
I mean,
Don't do
seriously,
that.
just you sharing your hormone journey with me, it helped me start to look at that element of me. And, this past January, I was like, okay, so for myself, I'm always experimenting, trying new things out. I'm always my own guinea pig first, as y'all know. And I've been doing cycle syncing for about 4 months. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I didn't know these things about the 4 phases of my cycle. And now that I'm in perimenopause, how does that feel and look different? And I've got all these co-occurring health conditions. So how does that show up? If you have POTS and hypermobility and, or EDS and MCAS, how does that impacting and showing up in my hormone cycle? And I found it shows up in a lot of ways. And so I hosted my very first Cycle Harmony class back on February the 14th. And I have a second one coming out where we're going to dive into hormones, perimenopause, postmenopause, and co-occurring health conditions because it is brutal out there, y'all.
Mhm.
And
Have
when you have
you
no resources, it's scary.
have you found that these self-discovery exercises or processes that you've been taking part in, have they affected your interoception at all? And for listeners, again, interoception is your body signals and your ability to feel and interpret. When do you feel hungry? When are you in pain? Those are the body signals. And often neurodivergent people, especially autistic people, are not so great at interoception. So has there been any change in your interoception with this self-discovery?
That is such a kick-ass question, by the way. Just like, wow, such a great question. Yes and no.
Okay.
No, in the sense that it's not gotten so much better that now I don't forget to drink and eat. I don't recognize that my legs have fallen asleep because I've sat somewhere doing something in my hyper flow state for so long that all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to wet my pants. And you realize it's 4 hours later and you've been holding it for the last 2 hours. That
In
still
our
happens.
house, we hear the most common thing I say is, Jessica Michaels, just get up and go to the bathroom. Just go. What are you doing?
And
Come
we have
on.
this conversation with ourselves on the regular.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
Yeah,
still happens.
yeah. But I do notice things that I didn't notice before. I'm more aware of them. Like I will catch myself going, okay, ding dong, get up, go to the dang bathroom. You've been holding it for an hour, but you knew you were holding it for an hour. It wasn't like it was oblivious like before. Now you've just been
Oh,
painfully sitting here, genius,
got it. Okay. All right.
because I
So that
didn't
makes
want to lose
sense.
my train of thought. Because
Oh,
if
of
I move
course.
rooms, I'm going to forget what the heck I was doing. And then I got to go through the transition process to getting back into
Yeah.
it.
Everybody knows this exact situation will never happen ever again. And if you move, you've just thrown it all away. You'll never get it back. So, no, I totally get it. But I wonder if that, because I'm guessing that this is a process that continues. Like, is there a done?
When you die.
Okay. Well, at that point, interoception is probably moot. I think even people with the worst interoception would probably be able to figure out that they're dead. Like that, I'm hoping is a clue I will get, at
I
least.
don't know. Last February, for the first time in my life, even with POTS, I completely lost consciousness and I fell over the side of my bathtub. Well, I was face down in the bathtub with my hands behind me. So it was just like head down, chest over the side of the tub. And when I started to come to, all I saw was white. And first thing I thought was, oh my God, am I dead? And then I realized that what I was looking at, the white, was the texture of the bath mat. Thank God for the bath mat. And I saw the texture of the bath mat and went, oh, that's the bathtub. Why am I face down in my bathtub? Why am I upside down? And then I was like so disoriented.
Mhm.
So I could just say that I can see myself having the death experience and going, wait a minute, are we really here?
I would just
Where is
assume
here?
like me and Heaven shopped at the same place. Like, oh, God goes to Target too.
Oh,
I'm
this
planning
is
on
why I
haunting
love
my
talking to
planner.
y'all.
You're planning on
Because
haunting what?
haunting my planner, like my day planner, because then I can finally get the backlog taken care of.
Oh, let me tell you about some backlog. I will share this big scary hairy, y'all. So this glorious device known as our cell phone. Well, you know how it has the browser and you can have the tabs open.
Oh God, how many you're up to?
Okay,
How
so
many?
so much that it gives me a little sideways smiley face because it ran out of places to give me the number. Yeah. Well,
Same.
I realized that there was about 3 years worth of open tabs, y'all. I'm a bad data hoarder. And one of the women in my unveiler community was doing a digital detox. And she was like, I deleted this, and I cleaned this out, and I got my email down to zero. And I'm like, wow, okay, how did it feel? And she was telling me, and I was like, okay, I can be brave. And there were over at least 1,000 tabs for 3 years, and they were all open, and it was taking longer and longer for my phone to load something. It was so bad. So it's like legitimately I needed to do something at this point. I had hoarded to the point of this was ridiculous. And I was like, do I really want to go through all of these? Because at first I started and I was looking at them like, oh, I'll keep that. I was like, no, I'll delete that. I was doing one by one. And then I just had this epiphany and I went, have I gone back and looked at any of these in the last three
Right.
years? Really? Maybe once or twice. And it was only because I just randomly opened it and I was like, oh, that's still there. I'm going to keep that, and I'll leave it open again. And I went, no, I really don't even care enough to go look because it's the internet, y'all. If I want to know something, I could Google it. It will come up again, most likely, or 20 other new things will come up. So I went to the trash can and hit delete all. And can I tell you, I swear there was a chorus that sang when I did this. And there was like this vibrational resonance that went, oh, and I went, wow, I am free. And I literally felt free. I felt like I had just like took this heavy ball and chain off.
Hmm.
And I'm proud of myself. I haven't let more than 8 tabs stay open since.
Oh,
And I've been doing
very
it since the
nice.
beginning of January.
But how many screenshots do you have?
Girlfriend, you are mean.
Yeah. Say, we don't go there. We don't go. We're not ready for that yet. We're not ready.
No, those are
Tackle
Baby
useful. I'm
that.
going
steps.
to use
Yeah.
those. That's fine. That's
Baby
fine.
steps.
I don't have
So,
three
Mm,
separate folders on my desktop of different screenshots from different apps and times.
you know,
I'm not that organized, Ellie.
I just have them.
They're just a
Um,
running feed in my photos.
I am curious, how has this self-discovery practice, because it sounds like it's something that goes on and on. It's not a, it's not a now thing, it's, forever thing. How has this practice changed your relationship or affected your relationship with your autism and ADHD and how you think about those things?
I made friends with them. I love them. They are not separate of me. They are me. And do I always love how they make me feel or the challenges that I sometimes face with them? No, I'm human. I cry when I get frustrated because I didn't understand something and I got my feelings hurt, or I got left out of something because I didn't complete the form in time because, time blindness. Yeah, those things still happen. But do I then turn inward on in and fall back into that old internal monologue of like being a 13th century monk and flagellating myself to death, right? Like beating myself with whips into chains and, you know, bleeding out on the floor, saying all the mean things that I could say to myself. No, no, I don't do that anymore. Every now and then something will sort of creep up in the fringe, and I'm just like, hey, no, we don't do that around here anymore. And the more I've continued, and it is a practice, it is a choice that every day I'm gonna get to know me more. And whatever that is, it's okay. And the relationship that I have with myself now has made the relationships in my life with other people, oh my gosh. It is just, there are no words that I can truly express that I finally have these relationships that I trust, that I feel good in, that I am not doing out of obligation, but out of choice, and there's joy and there's love in them. Even family of origin ones that are still challenging, even the ones that are really tough right now that aren't necessarily the greatest relationship because maybe that person doesn't have the skills and ability. Maybe they're not ready yet, or maybe they'll never be ready. But I'm okay with wherever it is because I know it's not a judgment on who I am. And that's pretty huge.
Other people's emotions are not a report card.
Normally, when I think of a hyperfixation or when I'm experiencing a hyperfixation, I know it's like, well, I gotta get every second of fun I can out of this Animal Crossing phone game because eventually it's gonna stop giving, whatever it's giving to me. But this is something that you really don't want to drop, you know? How do you ensure that, maybe this period of intense focus, this hyper focus, if it does morph, morphs into something that's still a big part of your life as opposed to just dropping it like I dropped the guitar after my first lesson.
I mean, I know that you wanted to talk about hyperfixation in the sense of like, oh, I get like in the zone, I'm doing this thing, and it's like this temporary set window, and I have to catch myself, and it causes all these things. And I get that. But you know me, I always go against the grain.
No, it's
So if I'm
whatever
going to say I'm
whatever is
hyper
taking you
fixated
right
on
now.
something,
Hmm.
if I say, for me, this is the place that all of my, and I've defined a hyperfixation in the sense that all of my thoughts, energy, focus, and attention go to this one thing.
Hmm.
And so, yes, right now, that is exactly what I'm doing. I am pouring it into that self-discovery because that is omniscopic, that every moment access to every potentiality that was, is, or will be. And I'm doing that in this quest to get to know me better. Sure, I will probably reach a point where all hyperfixations go in my world, which is, oh, that was fun. Now what's next? It's just part of it. And I know that. But the difference is, in the past, I would have grieved what I no longer felt joy about, when I no longer got the this whiz pops and the sparklies and the dopamine hits from. And then all of the craft things or whatever I bought to do the thing that I was doing all go in the corner to collect dust and die. And there's this like, that's sad. And I quit on another thing and I failed because I didn't finish it or whatever the thing was, that we tell ourselves. And I'm okay with that now because I don't long, if my attention and my focus moves from one thing to the next and I have fully enjoyed it, I have like Like my dog rolling in the pine straw under the trees. I have rolled in it and had the best time and just it was so fun and glorious. And now there's something else.
Hmm.
And I'm ready to go to that thing. And that's okay. I'm still going to take parts of whatever I learned in my current fixation to the next one
Yeah,
Mhm.
we
in some way.
definitely celebrate the idea um of the hyperfixation and what it, the what it can give you in those in the moments because it if you don't have a lot of moments to kind of wake your brain up like that, it's good, I think, to have things. I mean, everything to excess can be a problem, and we know that. So certainly not saying that there aren't times when a hyperfixation can really be a problem because it's totally pulling focus from something else. But for the most part, we look at it as what is, we get joy from other people experiencing joy. So what is it that is giving you joy, and can we just siphon a little off the top? Can I just like get some contact joy would be really nice, you know? And so I think that is goes directly in line with what you're talking about because it's very clear how affecting this has been for you and how much, it seems like there's peace, it seems like there's happiness, there is joy, there's some fun and some humor there. So I think everything good that we celebrate about a good hyperfixation is evident for sure. And I think what's cool is that this type of hyperfixation, even if it goes from a 24/7 thing I'm thinking about to something that lessens, where it's just becomes a part of, part of a day, part of your routine. The thing you started with was just your breath, and really thinking about that. Those are things that are always going to be a part of your life, whether or not this is top of mind or not. And these things that you've learned about yourself, these don't go away. I mean, you can be focused on stamp collecting next, and that's great, but you're not suddenly going to go back to Carole Jean 10 years ago. You've gotten yourself to this point, and those things are going to stay with you. So I think there's a real lasting effect that I see potential for in this. I mean, obviously, I can't predict the future, but that is what my instinct tells me, and everybody knows my instincts are amazing. So,
They
you're
are.
in real good shape. No, but I really do think that it certainly has the makings of something that is transformative as opposed to being just kind of a distraction. Distractions are good sometimes, but this type of deep dive, I think, can really, be something that changes somebody's life. So, yeah. So I think it's a really great kind of hyperfixation.
And that's why, I mean, Buddhist practice is like a 3,000-year-old science of mind, and we still start with the breath because it is always there. It is always there. And once you start noticing it and recontextualizing it as something beneficial and something linked to how you feel and how you're dealing with what you're dealing, that's always there in the back of your head. You're really annoyed in line at the Starbucks because you're late and you notice yourself tensing up and you can, it's okay. It's all right. The meeting can be 5 minutes late. It's fine. And it just really stays with you because it's that constant reminder because you can't stop breathing.
Well, I mean, you can, but
Unless you want to see that great Target bath mat in the sky.
yes, I will say it's kind of interesting. So along the process, because I learned, oh my gosh, my breath is really powerful. I, of course, in true gifted kid, messy adult fashion, went out and got certified in meditation and breath work.
As you do.
Of course you
Yes, we do.
did.
Of course I did. And as I was learning different breathing patterns, and Ellie, you may have tried this one. So there's one called fire breath or Wim Hof breathing. So there's
I was
these
going to
two.
ask about Wim Hof. Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say that. unless you have tried it and you have really like leaned in and gone all in to just go for it, go big or go home and really just do the breath. Holy cow. The the euphoria. It is the most incredible natural high in the world. But is this that we could make ourselves feel something different just by breathing. We change our chemistry, we change our thoughts, we change our physicality just through our breath. And there's this bliss, this joy that we can experience that allows us to know it's possible for us, which to me was pretty huge. So I have a question for both of you because I know we're wrapping up. Ellie, what's sparking your joy in this moment?
Um, well, really good curl day, so that's cool.
Nice.
Um, actually getting stuff done and not drowning in executive dysfunction. And I beat a really hard pet battle in World of Warcraft about an hour ago. So
Those are awesome. Jess, what about you? What's sparking your joy in this moment?
I am just really digging seeing a friend of mine happy, and it's a different, I always thought, and I've told this story multiple times, that growing up, I always thought that happy, I didn't realize that was a thing. I did not realize for the longest time that emotions were things that you could feel like in your body, and happy would feel different than something else. I just thought that, you did the smiley face and the opening presents and and those were things that you did and not necessarily things that you felt. So being able to see someone who I, love and care about very clearly having, experiencing something that looks very genuine compared to, what I've seen before. I mean, that is just, it's super cool. It really is. It really is very neat. And I've gotten to experience that a few times in my life, and it's wonderful. It really is wonderful. So I think that is really just in this moment making me kind of grin like an idiot. It's like, yay.
compersion, joy at seeing someone you care about have joy.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm a word nerd. I love that. That sparked my joy right there.
Well, we are going to wrap up in just a minute here, but before Ellie takes us home, Carole Jean, where can people find out more about you and about this wonderful process and this book, all the good stuff that you've got going on?
Hop on over to whittingtonwellbeing.com. Take the spicy pepper burnout quiz. See if you're in burnout, if you're a pepper. Take the masking styles quiz. Find out, hey, what's my style? How does that correlate to maybe what you might be feeling right now? And if you aren't sure if you're in burnout, you just want to dip your toe in, there's the top 20 warning signs you might be experiencing autistic burnout there as well. Uh, the show is always a great place to start as well, Beyond Chronic Burnout. And there's some fantastic episodes with a certain human by the name of Jessica Michaels you might want to check out.
Well, I think that'll just about wrap it up for this episode of Gifted Kid, Messy Adult. Jess, where can people find out more about you?
And go to coachjessicamichaels.com and find out how you can control the procrastination in your life.
Ooh, I'll get around to doing that someday. If you like our show, please rate and review us. And for any other information, please email us your questions, comments, or just outright praise to giftedkidmessyadult@gmail.com. And so until next time, take care of each other out there.
Bye.